You were never supposed to find this. Think about that for a second. Out of billions of videos, out of millions of scrolls, out of every distraction designed to pull you away from yourself, you landed here. That is not an accident. That is not the algorithm. That is something older, something that has been moving beneath the surface of your life for a very long time. And you've felt it, haven't you? That quiet knowing, that persistent ache, that feeling that you were built for something that most people around you cannot see, cannot name, cannot understand. You've tried to explain it. They looked at you like you were strange. So you learned to stay quiet. You learned to shrink. You learned to pretend that the fire inside you was just anxiety, just overthinking, just ego. But what if it wasn't? What if that fire was a signal? What if the loneliness you felt wasn't rejection, but preparation? What if the path that seemed broken was actually being cleared specifically for you? Here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. There is a category of human being that history has always produced in small numbers. They don't fit. They feel too much. They see too clearly. They carry a weight they didn't ask for. They are not broken. They are chosen. And today, right now, I am going to prove to you that you are one of them. By the end of this video, you will never see your pain the same way again. If something in that intro made your chest tighten, if you felt seen for the first time in a long time, type "chosen" in the comments right now and hit that subscribe button, because what comes next will reach places nothing else has. Part 1. The wound that marks you. Nobody told you the wound was a doorway. They told you to heal it, to close it, to stop letting it define you. But what if closing it was never the point? What if the wound was always the entrance? Think about every person throughout history who changed the world, every prophet, every artist, every quiet revolutionary who rewired the way humanity thinks. They were all wounded first. Not metaphorically, deeply, personally, in ways that made them question whether they deserved to exist. And you know this feeling. Maybe it was a childhood that felt too loud, too cold, too confusing. Maybe it was the parent who never really saw you. Maybe it was the years you spent performing a version of yourself just to survive. That wound runs deep. But here is the truth they never teach you in any classroom, any therapy session, any self-help book. The depth of your wound is the measure of your capacity. Read that again. The deeper the wound, the greater the range of human experience you can hold. The greater the empathy, the greater the vision, the greater the purpose. Ordinary people are not given extraordinary wounds. Ordinary people are not broken open the way you have been broken open, because ordinary people are not being forged. You are. Forging is violent. It is heat and pressure and hammering. It is the metal screaming before it becomes the blade. You have been screaming for a long time, but you are not being destroyed. You are being shaped. Every loss that didn't kill you was a lesson your soul required. Every betrayal refined your discernment. Every rejection redirected you from a path that was never yours. You were not cursed. You were curriculum. And the teacher behind all of it has never once looked away from you. So when you look back at your darkest chapters, don't look with shame. Look with the eyes of a student who is finally beginning to understand the lesson. Because the wound that marks you is the same wound that one day will illuminate someone else's darkness. That is power. That is purpose. And it has always been yours.
Part 2. The signs you ignored. You have been given signs your entire life. You dismiss them as coincidence, as wishful thinking, as the mind playing tricks on desperate people. But let me ask you something. How many times has a thought appeared and then happened? How many times have you felt a warning in your body before your mind understood the danger? How many times have you walked into a room and immediately felt the invisible weight of what was happening beneath the surface? How many times have you known something without knowing how you knew? This is not fantasy. This is not delusion. This is heightened perception. This is the intelligence of someone whose nervous system was calibrated for depth. Chosen ones are not people who escape reality. They are people who perceive more of it. And that perception has been speaking to you for years. In the synchronicities that made you stop mid-sentence, in the strangers who said the exact words you needed at the exact moment you needed them, in the doors that closed so violently you thought your life was ending, only to discover a window you would never have found otherwise. The universe has been communicating with you. You just didn't have the language for it yet. And here is where it gets uncomfortable, because the chosen path requires you to trust what you cannot fully explain. It requires you to move when logic says stay, to stay when fear says run, to speak when silence is safer, to be silent when words would be cheaper. It is the most counterintuitive way to live, and most people cannot do it. Most people need the evidence before the step. But you have always felt the pull before the proof. That is not irrationality. That is faith in its rawest, most ancient form. The signs are still coming, right now, in this moment. This video is one of them. You didn't stumble here. You were led here by the same intelligence that has been leading you your entire life. The only question left is whether you will finally stop calling it coincidence and start calling it what it is. Part 3. Why you feel so alone. Let's talk about the loneliness, because it is real and it is heavy, and nobody really prepares you for it. The loneliness of seeing what others don't see, the loneliness of caring deeply in a world that moves too fast to feel, the loneliness of holding a vision so large that you cannot fit it into a conversation without watching people's eyes go somewhere else. You have felt like a stranger in rooms full of people who love you. That is a specific kind of ache, and it has made you wonder, more than once, whether something is fundamentally wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You are experiencing the structural loneliness of someone who is ahead of where the people around them currently are. Not above them, ahead. There is a profound difference. Above implies arrogance. Ahead implies timing. Your soul is operating on a timeline that most people haven't arrived at yet. And that creates a gap that feels like isolation, like misunderstanding, like invisibility. But throughout history, every person who was eventually recognized as extraordinary spent significant time being profoundly misunderstood. Tesla died alone. Van Gogh sold one painting in his lifetime. Nikola Tesla, Rumi, Joan of Arc. The chosen have always been lonely first, because the crowd cannot yet see what the chosen one carries. But here is the shift you need to make right now, today. Stop trying to be understood by everyone. Start being understood by the right ones. Your people exist. They are scattered. They are also carrying that weight. They are also lying awake wondering why they feel so out of place in a world that seems designed for people who never ask deep questions. They are looking for you too. And the more fully you step into who you actually are, the more rapidly they will find you. Your loneliness is not a life sentence. It is a filter. It has been removing the people who cannot handle your frequency to make room for the ones who were built for it. The room is being prepared. You just have to walk through the door.
Part 4. The moment everything changes. There is a moment. It doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It doesn't arrive in a dream or a vision or a miraculous event. It comes quietly, almost gently. It is the moment you stop asking the world to validate your worth and you simply decide. Decide that the calling was real. Decide that the wound was purposeful. Decide that the loneliness was preparation. Decide that every version of you that felt broken was actually a version that was building the foundation. That decision is the turning point. And I need you to understand something about chosen ones. They are not chosen because they are perfect. They are chosen because they are willing. Willing to carry what most people put down. Willing to feel what most people numb. Willing to keep walking when every signal in their body says stop. Willingness is the only qualification, and you have been demonstrating it your entire life, even when you didn't realize that's what you were doing. Every time you got back up, every time you tried again, every time you chose honesty over comfort, depth over distraction, growth over the familiar smallness of who you used to be. That was willingness. That was the chosen one choosing. Now here is the hardest part, the part that separates the ones who transform from the ones who stay in the story forever without ever living it. You have to release the version of yourself that was waiting for permission. Permission to be great, permission to take up space, permission to pursue the thing that has been quietly burning in you for as long as you can remember. No one is coming to grant it. No mentor, no moment, no sign perfectly aligned. You are the permission. You always were. The tomb of who you were supposed to be, the small, silent, shrinking version, it's empty now. You outgrew it. You walked out. And standing in the light of that, there is only one thing left to do. Become fully, irreversibly, unapologetically what you were always meant to be. The moment is not coming. The moment is now. This is your wake-up call, not the gentle kind, the kind that changes the architecture of who you are. You came into this world carrying something rare, something that confused people who didn't have the eyes to see it, something that made you strange and beautiful and unbearably lonely all at once. That something is not a burden. It is a blueprint. And the life you have been living, every wound, every sign, every silent room, every sleepless night staring at a ceiling, wondering why you feel so different, it was all material for this, for the version of you that is about to emerge. Chosen ones don't escape the fire, they walk through it. They come out the other side carrying light that could only have been born in that kind of heat. You have been in the fire. You know what it feels like, and you are still here. That alone, that simple, staggering fact, is proof enough. You were not built for ordinary. You were not built for smallness. You were not built for a life that never risks, never burns, never reaches towards something that terrifies you with its greatness. You were built for this exact moment. So step into it, with everything you have, with every scar, with every lesson, with the full, magnificent, unedited weight of who you actually are. Your tomb is empty now. Walk out. If this video moved something deep inside you, subscribe, because this channel exists for the ones who were never meant to stay asleep.